Welcome to Intralogistics Insiders. Explore the latest trends, challenges, and innovations in intralogistics with industry experts. Welcome to Intralogistics Insiders. We have today Plamena Bryant, responsible for the DACH region at Libiao Robotics. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
So can you tell us a little bit about your background and about Libiao Robotics? How did you end up working at Libiao Robotics?
Yes, of course. My background, I have been in the industry for almost 10 years. I've been with Libiao for 1 year now. Before that, I was part of another robotics company for 6 years. This is how...
Is it secret?
It's not. I was part of Grey Orange before.
Oh, okay.
It's an Indian company. And I transitioned into Libiao 1 year ago, which I'm very happy about. Libiao is an innovator in the industry, and Libiao was the first one to invent the flexible sorting robotics technology, or sorting driven by robots. We are very proud of this.
In what space do you consider that Libiao is working on? So are we talking about intralogistics?
We are talking about intralogistics, about warehouse automation. We specialize in flexible sorting technology, as I said, but we also, in the last 5 years, introduced a goods-to-person picking solution. So it's an automated picking and storage solution.
What did excite you the most about getting in this industry? Not just with Libiao, but with your past as well.
Yes, what excites me most about the industry is how dynamic it is. And how you can see that for companies, it's very high on their strategic agenda to automate. And not just to automate with any technology, but with flexible technology that can adapt to their changing needs and the challenges in the industry, right? Labor is scarce most of the time. Companies have fluctuating demands, varying SKUs. And they see the need to automate. If they don't automate, they will lag behind the competition. And sooner or later, they'll lose their competitive advantage.
What industries do you believe have the biggest opportunity with automation right now here in Europe?
Talking about industries, if we talk about sortation, of course, we talk about the courier and postal companies. But talking also in general, automating all flows in the warehouse from goods in to goods out. I think the industries that are mostly affected are the e-commerce and retail industries, but also we talk about pharma, about fast-moving consumer goods, beauty. Essentially, any industry, any client or customer who has this demand to automate and who has to stay ahead of competition. Who has dynamic flows in the warehouse. And yes, they need to automate sooner or later.
What is the stopper for companies that have not yet gone into automation?
That's a very good question. There are a lot of factors that influence companies. I would say, looking at 2025, it felt like a slow year for the industry. Companies were cautious, given the economic and geopolitical situation. They were doing a lot of analysis, business case analysis, different players in the industry. The industry is pretty much flooded with different players from various markets. So it's very difficult for companies to say, okay, this is the right type of automation for my business. And also in terms of investment, right? Companies are scared to invest in a way. They are very cautious. And sooner or later, I feel they realize that they need to start from somewhere. And a lot of companies think if I automate, I need to automate everything. It's not the case. They don't need to start with this huge investment where they're scared, will there be an ROI? Will this work for me? Will this disrupt my operations? They can start small. They can identify one bottleneck and, scale up with the time. They can test out the automation that fits best to their needs and that will show the best significant benefits for their operations. And once they feel more comfortable with it, they can expand.
You mentioned that Libiao works mainly on sorting. So how has this been done before? And how is it done with Libiao?
Yes, so we are concentrating on sorting. We have 70,000 robots deployed in the last 10 years. So we see ourselves as the innovator in this industry. And to answer your question, how was this done before? It was done mainly with the fixed traditional conveyor-based sorting systems. This is a very fixed automation, very heavy on cost, not very sustainable, not very energy efficient. And the Libiao sorting system is very flexible, very adaptable. It can adapt to different layouts. And you can start small. You can start with a small amount of robots, small throughput, and you can plan for the future. You can already discuss this with Libiao or with one of our partners that we work with. I'll mention this later. And you can just say, okay, if I start in year one with this amount of robots and with this layout across so many square meters, how will it look for me based on my growth forecast in the next 2 or 5 years? So clients don't need this huge upfront investment from day one. They can scale up.
What is sorting?
What is sorting?
Explain for the newcomers.
Yes. Sorting is, if we talk about outbound sortation, we talk about sorting of the parcels to different destinations. Once they've been labeled, they need to go to different postcodes or to different stores. If we talk about retail customers, if we talk about e-commerce, maybe to the different carriers that will ship them out. So sorting is when we insert the parcel onto the robot, in the case of Libiao, and this robot sorts then the parcel to the end destination or to the point. So sorting from the in-feed station to the outbound. You can also do sorting in different other areas in the warehouse. You can have inbound sorting, you can have return sortation. So you can have different types of sorting within the warehouse. But the main case where clients would say, okay, I need to automate, here is a bottleneck, is where we see in the outbound sortation.
This sorting is happening behind fences, or is it working on the worker's environment?
It is not a fenced environment. The robots are navigating on tables equipped with RFID magic carpets, we call them. This is also patented for Libiao. And the workers in-feed the parcels onto the robots. So it's not a fenced environment, but they still operate on a table, which is off the ground. And the beauty of the system is you can have up to 3 layers on top of each other. So you don't lose the floor space, which is, in Europe at least, very valuable. If we talk about the US, they have much more floor space. Here, we try to fit into much smaller setups.
If it's in the in-feed, for example, to what systems do you interact with?
There are different scenarios. The most simple scenario is the manual in-feed, where a person puts the parcel onto the robot. A different scenario is that we can have an automated in-feed via conveyor. And another very nice use case is actually that our systems, we were talking also about a picking system, a fulfillment system. If the client was a bit more advanced in their automation setups, they can combine the system and the software will orchestrate the different types of automation to work together. So if we talk about storage and picking, we call AirOp, our totes-to-person automation system. You can store your goods in the AirOp. You can pick and fulfill your orders from that AirOp, but we can also perform the so-called batch pick, where we connect our sorting and the picking system. What happens is it's a zero-walk automation. The person picks from the picking system and places the items onto the sorting robots, which then sort the items to their respective orders. So this is a step before the outbound sortation takes place. This is where I was mentioning there are different cases and applications for sorting. And it's the beauty of the system, you can combine them.
Customers are in many different stages. So some of them may already have an automated warehouse. They may have a manual warehouse with shelves and forklifts and you name it. What is the ideal stage to automate with Libiao?
It's a good question. I would say, as I mentioned in the beginning, you don't need to wait for the perfect timing to automate. You have to start from somewhere. Even if your operations are small, you can start with a small setup, especially if you are thinking about automation and if you believe your company will be ready to automate very soon. However, in general, to generate a good business case and an ROI, a client is looking at having at least 2 shifts of operations, so we can generate more savings on FTEs and for a better business case. But there is, I would say, not an ideal scenario, because talking about fixed automation, the fixed sorters, their life will also end at some point. And I receive a lot of inquiries asking, okay, my sorter is getting too old. Can we think about something more innovative, more flexible, more energy efficient? And it's now time to speak with Libiao. Or indeed to complement to conveyor. You're growing, you're scaling up your business, and you just need another, X amount of parcels per hour sorted, but your sorter can't cope with it. Then you can have an addition to your current not as flexible automation. So you can, if you find a bottleneck in your operations, you can speak to any automation provider and evaluate what is best for you.
Why should European companies trust Libiao?
It's a good question as well. Firstly, we are an established company, 70,000 robots deployed worldwide. It's a very good number to prove that we are established on the market. Secondly, we work with a network of local partners and integrators, so customers can really choose who to have for their local point of contact, to have the system implemented and supported in the long term from our local partners and integrators. And thirdly, clients can, it's the conversation. It's building trust with the customer and with your provider of automation. So once we go into the conversation, we are trying to be more consultative. What is best for you? If our solution doesn't fit, we wouldn't recommend it to you. And so you engage in the conversation and you find what is the right thing for the client to do.
What is the key, software or hardware?
I think it's a combination of both, because the software at the end of the day is the key that will orchestrate all the robotic agents, whether it's a pick arm, an AGV, an AMR, or any technology in the warehouse. And this is where the role of the integrator comes as well, because they can have this umbrella that will then manage all of the different agents in the warehouse. So it's both is important, and a lot of customers that don't yet have good software implemented, they shy away from investing in automation, which is also right. You have to have your data right, you have to have your own software established, before you choose the right type of automation.
Do you run your software on-premise or is it cloud-based?
Currently, it's on-premise. On cloud is an option, of course. It's also, we're driven by customer preferences.
How do you optimize your software over time?
Yes, we constantly have upgrades and updates, and they are rolled out also onto the customers' systems. So we stay up to date. Software, bug fixes, upgrades, updates, anything that is done at Libiao is also rolled out across our customers.
So now tricky questions, okay? So we see a global scenario with a lot of uncertainty, politics, markets, tariffs. Mm-hmm. It's getting really complicated. Is it not dangerous for European companies to rely something that important for them on a foreign company?
It's, as you say, the current situation, including the tariffs, the economic, the geopolitical situation globally, is currently also what's been making our customers very uncertain into investing in any type of automation. But at the end of the day, I just mentioned, right, we work with the local network of partners of Libiao. So we do have the local face for the customers, and they shouldn't really worry about these factors as such. Especially in Europe, currently I don't see any reason to worry about this. Of course, even in the US, they imposed the higher tariffs for China imported hardware, etc. But even there, we currently don't face any issues with selling our products and then maintaining them and growing with our customers. What is very important for any company in the industry is to prove that this company is growing with its customers. That it's not you sell the robots and then the system and then you move away. You stay there for your client. You see how the customer needs develop. What can we do more with you in the future? So you have to find a trusted partner. Just blindly investing in an automation or anything to do with, part of the warehouse is not the right strategy. So the client really needs to find a trusted partner. And this is how we see ourselves at Libiao. We see that we build the trust in our clients and they grow together with us and we grow together with them.
How do you see the market right now, especially in the DACH region? Do you foresee it's going to continue growing? What's the situation?
I would say 2026, everyone has high expectations of 2026. 2025 was about waiting, about analyzing, being cautious. And I feel not only 2026, in the next 5 years, there will be a lot about execution, a lot more about being brave and just trying it out, because whoever doesn't invest in automation, in flexible automation today, will lag behind in the next 5 years. So I'm optimistic about the market.
Where do you see the biggest trends?
I see the biggest trends, for sure, fulfillment is the biggest and the most impactful in terms of ROI, in terms of implementing an automation technology that will bring the benefit to the client. For sure, I see this trend when it comes to picking and storage automation. I also see a lot of development in terms of pick arms. I would say it's a more innovative technology. It's more early stages. You will see one pick arm and still 10 stations where a person is actually doing the picking. But yeah, it's definitely, there is the tendency towards trying out also pick arms and different technologies. I was in CMAT in Shanghai a few months ago, and it was all about humanoid robots. But I think we are still far away from this. I don't see this as coming in the next 5 years, let's say, maybe in 10. So yes.
And what about AI, agents, and all this stuff?
AI is very important. It's always going to be present. I think when we talk about software, it's very important that it's also AI driven, and I think AI plays a big role for sure. I don't want to say too much about that because I'm not a specialist in this, but for sure this will play a major role. It's inevitable.
And what about consumers? Now I'm getting more maybe political, but we have all these AIs that could replace so many jobs. We have robots that could take also many jobs. If we impoverish our society, there will be less money to spend. So at the end, this is going to affect the other layers of fulfillment. Who is going to order stuff if there is no work for people?
Okay. Let me maybe concentrate more on the robotics factor, right? We say, okay, automation and robotics will replace people. And I just talked about pick arms. One pick arm, but still tens of people doing the rest of the job, right? The proportion is small. For me, robots are not replacing people. They are giving people the opportunity to concentrate and to be smarter about other tasks in the warehouse. We still need someone to operate correctly the system. So instead of having the person walking for kilometers in a warehouse, you can invest into the development of this person and create completely new roles in the warehouse. So for me, this is a big, what do you call it, an opportunity for people to develop further and for warehouses to create completely new roles.
What skills do you believe will be necessary for this new wave of automation on warehouses?
Well, for sure, you need a set of engineers to be able to maintain the robots. You also need a set of data analytical people who can, track the data, analyze what is happening in real time. Is my system performing well? Do we need to make a different strategy? When we talk about picking, maybe have less pick stations because my current volumes are lower. So I think definitely on one side the engineers, on the other side the analytical people, the operational people that can cope with the system.
Now talking about going back to Libiao, what does set you apart of what protects your innovation to keep being different or keeping an edge on the market?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I'm asking because there are every day you see more and more companies making AMRs, AGVs, automated warehouses.
Yeah, it's something that we are discussing between ourselves as well. Like we had a conversation this week with some colleagues about, some other Chinese companies coming on the market. But at the end of the day, if I'm the end client, I will invest in someone who is already fairly established in the market. The customer wants to see an example of a similar setup like his or like he would like to have. Having the references, having the network of local partners and integrators who have delivered multiple projects in a region is definitely what sets us apart. Because without the proof, customers are very hesitant. How can we trust that this company who has 0 or 5 sites worldwide will be able to deliver the system in a compliant way in this warehouse with all the local regulations and requirements that we need? And then most importantly, once the system is delivered, they need to know that it will work and that they will be able to grow. If one day their volumes grew and they need to scale up, or if they wanted to add more robots during peak. So clients need this certainty that you're an established organization, that you have use cases, references. They want to speak to our clients, so we are also open for this. Reference visits, customer conversations, this is the most important.
What are the sites that you are most proud of?
The most proud of, one of our biggest sites is with 880 robots. It's Fast Fish. It's a brand from China. It's quite a lot of robots running in one setup.
Okay.
But we're also proud of the clients with whom we have multiple implementations. We have a customer that we have 7 sites with them worldwide. And this is really cool to observe. Like we have a site with them in Europe, in US, in Brazil, in Asia, we have a few sites. So it's really great to see how a company can be truly global.
Anything else you would like to highlight or talk about?
Well, I would, if there is one advice I would like to give to the listeners, it's to not shy away from trying out automation, even if it's on a smaller scale, because this is what will make them stand apart and have a competitive edge.
Based on this, what do you think is the best way to find out if automation is right for them without, doing a big investment or putting their operation at risk?
We can always analyze and help analyze the data with the client. We have a look at the data, we scale the solution, and we say, okay, is now a good time, or should we wait until we see some growth in your volumes? If we talk about some smaller corporations, if we talk about the bigger companies, of course, for them, there is never a bad time to invest in automation because they have the scale. If we talk about the smaller companies, then of course we can help them and guide them through this process.
What is the minimum investment they should be thinking about to run like a first demo or test?
If we talk about demo or test, you can really have a very small invest, less than 100,000 euros, if you want to really have just a proof of concept or a demo with a few robots. It's very funny when we are at exhibitions and talk to customers and they come to me and ask me, what is the price of this robot? It's a very good question, right? We don't sell the robot on its own. We sell the system. And a client shouldn't really look at the price of the robot. They should look at the total cost of ownership of the system. What is the investment and what will that mean for me in the future? ROI and being more sustainable, staying innovative, and also some of the other costs that are hidden but can be saved by investing in automation.
The second question, we asked about money, and what about time? What is the minimum time that you need to put together like a first proof of concept?
This is the beauty of this flexible automation. At Libiao, we can make a project work within 1 month. If we talk about sea shipment, right, versus air freight, okay, we need a few extra weeks for the sea shipment, then I would say definitely plan with 2 to 3 months so we can allow for production and sea freight, and the implementation can happen within a week. So you don't really need to plan years in advance. You don't need to make any major renovations on your flooring. It's really the beauty of this flexible automation.
From the moment that the company is thinking about automation and they get in touch with you, what is the process until they have the system running?
Good question. So firstly, they engage with us in a conversation. They tell us about their challenges. Ideally, we would like to go and visit the warehouse and identify and prove that these bottlenecks are there and how we can improve, how we can optimize their operations. Then we go into data analysis. We simulate a solution for the client to prove the amount of robots that we need for the system is correct for them. We have several discussion rounds around the solution, of course, around implementation. And then once the client is convinced that this is the right solution for them, we go into the next stages with the contracts, with delivery, etc., with all the terms and conditions. And after that, we go into production. So all this process before actually placing the order is very dependent on the customer, on their willingness to invest, on their willingness to innovate and invest in automation. For some clients, it's a couple of months. For others, it's 6 months or a year. Everyone has a different pace in this conversation. And after that, I would say it's very quick. You have production, you have shipment, and you have implementation, depending on the project size. Anything between, let's say, 4 months and 6 months is realistic, from placing the order to actually going live with the system and running the system.
What is the expected payback time for a solution from Libiao?
The expected payback time, we have projects that have paid back within 6 months. But the client expectation is usually up to 3 years. So for sure, between 1 and 3 years is a realistic expectation from the Libiao set of automation systems.
If I wanted to see a Libiao system running, where I can find you next? Where are you going to be?
For sure, next we'll be at LogiMAT. We will have our systems running there at 2 different booths. You can see us there. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to visit one of our existing sites.
Thank you very much for joining us and hope to see you back soon.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thanks for listening to Intralogistics Insiders. Stay tuned for more insights and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite platform.